Hi, everybody, and no, this is not cafe au lait, though reading Proust does sort of make me want to be in the mood to be French. Well, anyway, I'll put this aside. So, given that the previous video had such a sympathetic reception, I thought, yes, I will continue updating people on my progress in reading Remembrance of Things Past. And just in terms of bare-bone mechanics of, yes, I did finish Volume 1, and I'm about halfway through Volume 2. I'm making better progress than I was before, which is sort of where I want to go with this update. Anyway, let me just to show you, I brushed off my old copy of the published version of Pinter's script for the Proust screenplay. It's relatively famous. Which I have read ages ago, but it's been a while, so I will not read it again until I've finished all 7 volumes, because, as I mentioned in the previous video, Pinter's screenplay is based on the whole 7 volumes, not any single volume. And one of the interesting things I learned when I picked it up again was I reread his introduction to the screenplay, and he mentions that Proust wrote the first volume, published that, then wrote the last volume, and then the other 5 came afterwards. And I don't think that's irrelevant, because it means that now that I'm reading Volume 2, I am now reading the 3rd volume that he wrote. And I think that has a lot to do with why I'm finding it easier to read, because it's as if Proust had sort of relaxed a little. It doesn't have quite the same discursive quality that Swann's Way did. Also, one reason why I personally have make it a little easier to read than the 2nd volume is that although there's still plenty of emotional and lyrical content, there's also much more, for lack of a better term, I'd say, sociological observation. His descriptions of the interaction between people, particularly as it relates to class, is really, really astute. It's not like Proust was a closet Marxist or anything like that, but his ability to hone in on the behavioral details that not only reveal the class background of particular characters, but also, because of that background, how they interact with other people. It's that at that level, I find it really fascinating. And yes, there's all the emotional stuff as well. Now, as I said, that's true for me. I suspect that many of the people who like Proust like him more for the stuff that I kind of just have to slog through. So it may raises the question of why would I read it? And I think to get to that, I should mention that, as I said in the first video, that my own work had been moving in this direction, by which I don't mean that I would fool myself into thinking I'm Marcel Proust revisited, but that idea of emotional motivation for description and evocation, to internalize that kind of response, if you will. And again, it's not like I pretend that I'm going to turn into Proust. It's rather just recognizing that by absorbing myself in that approach, I can enrich my own work. So, speaking of enrichment, literally, now as I plow through Volume 2, I probably will finish it, I would guess, within the next few days. Then the question has become what to do about the remaining 5 volumes, because I have the first 2. I don't have copies of the other. Why do I even bring this up? Well, okay, I can order them, or I can take them out of the library. The question is, though, by taking them out of the library, obviously I save the money of ordering the books, but having the books on hand, my copies, enables me, if I want, to underline or make notes in the margins or whatever. And on that note, I will read you a passage which is particularly relevant to me personally. And he's describing, let's see, where is it? Now, this is not a passage of particular importance for any of the characters or any of the actions. The situation is that he and his grandmother have gone to Baalbek on the coast of Normandy, and he's talking about his reaction to the hotel space and room that he is going to occupy. And I just want to read this for reasons I'll get into in a second. So he says, space, there was none for me in my bedroom, mine in name only, at Baalbek. It was full of things which did not know me, which flung back at me the distrustful look that I had cast at them, and without taking any heed of my existence, showed that I was interrupting the course of theirs. Now, why do I bother reading that quote? It's because the idea of objects having a life of their own, and particularly in their interaction with us, that's very much relevant to my theory as a film critic. Some of you know that I have written a book called Pretty Pictures, which talks about production design and how production design contributes to film meaning. And in particular, there's one passage where I talk about a sequence in Laster at Marienbad, which takes place in a hotel room where the female character played by Delphine Seyrig is reacting to the objects in the room. And it gets to a point where, because of the way it's shot and cut, it almost feels more like the objects are reacting to her being in the room. So reading this definitely struck a chord with me, because it suggests that I'm not the only one who has this feeling about the vibrancy, the life of objects quite apart from how we think we're going to use them or how they have been used. So, a point of mutual interest, if you will, between Marcel and myself. So on that note, I guess I will sign off. I might let you know when I finished Volume 2. I will probably continue updating, if nothing else, with observations like these as I read and what they may bring. And of course, then when I'm done, and I'm optimistic I will finish, I will then share my thoughts about rereading Pinter's script and its relationship to all 7 volumes. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.